All right. Let's see how that worked. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
I think your thing to monitor the chat is maybe still with the volume on.
Oh, you know what? That's hilarious. Hold on one second.
Hey, everybody. It's Scott and David here from I'dRatherBeDrawing.com to bring you I'd Rather Be Motivated, our YouTube original series where we get together to talk about comics and everything about making them and learning about them and everything wonderful about them, which is a whole bunch of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so you were definitely right there. I'm pretty sure because I had my other thing up in my other window that I just like filming myself and echoed through that whole thing. So that intro probably sounded terrible.
No, like I didn't hear anything until after because there's like a delay on it. So it just seemed like when it got done, and then you just barely heard it real quietly in the background. We're still tweaking. We're getting there. I love that intro animation though, man. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I will mess with that next time, but I think we've nailed down exactly how we're going to mess with that now. Trying to get that in. So kind of as a nice little intro piece. There was definitely at some point where you like sipped your coffee loud enough that it went over to your screen.
Uh-oh. Live and learn. It's like the nervous tick. It's like I always make sure to have it like folks on a talk show, you know. So anyway, starting off the top here, besides here on YouTube with I'd Rather Be Drawing, where can people find you?
So just like always, first of all, I'll apologize here because I've caught a little weird cold that I might be having to clear my throat here every once in a while or get a scraggy voice. But Art of Mr. Fleming is where you find me on Instagram, and then Mr. David Fleming on Facebook. And those are just the two things. You can find me everywhere.
Sweet. So yeah, on Facebook, you can also find us under I'd Rather Be Drawing. Head to our website, I'dRatherBeDrawing.com. And then, yeah, for me, the best place to find me for now is on Instagram, IGTV, under Mr. Green Draws, mr.greendraws. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's just start out like we always do, the check-in, right?
Yes. Yeah, just to throw a little props out there, we've been getting this talk show going for a little while here and everything, but something that we've enjoyed a little bit of structure goes to the 48-hour art check. Props to those guys. Look that up under Joshua Kemble and Corey Kerr. But something that they start off with is progress, problems, and plans. So how about you, David? How is your progress as related to plans from last week?
Progress is amazing. So I've stuck to it. I've adjusted a little bit from my original plan, but you kind of do that just based on like one thing I recommend and I do for myself as an artist is like I never give myself more than I can handle to a point. Like giving yourself more than you can handle is how you grow. But there's a certain point of like you don't want to push yourself to stress and then like burn yourself out on a project kind of thing. So I started my own personal comic work here this past week, and I said I was going to post a video every day and was going to post 30 videos in the month of August. What I've changed that to is I'm going to post Monday through Friday, and I'm going to take a break over the weekend posting. I'm still working over the weekend, but I'm taking a posting break because it's kind of the conversation we had yesterday of sometimes you get caught so much in the content part of it that the posting that you're worried about like making your post and editing your post and making a video, and then you don't spend as much time as you should be just drawing. So I did it. I made a video every day. I posted every day except for on Tuesday of last week. I had weird technical difficulties. The video exists, but for some reason Instagram won't upload it. It comes out with an error every single time, and then I have to like turn my phone off all the way on and off again before it'll let me delete the video, and it gets really weird, and then it crashes my phone. And so I stopped trying because it was really frustrating. And then I made a post every day as well. So I'm keeping up with it so far.
That sounds legit to me. Yeah, I've had some issues with IGTV here and there, and I think part of it happens when I leave and I turn off my Wi-Fi, and then I come home and I don't reconnect manually. It seems like it just won't work, and I'll forget to do that sometimes. And for me, one kind of little adaptation that I've just had to do for my own, I mean, like physically, like sometimes I don't think I can physically actually stay awake longer to finish out all the posting for the video. Is like make the video and then like hit a lot of times I'll just hit upload and then go to bed. And most of the times, especially with IGTV, there's a little issue that when I wake up the next morning, it's like, oh, it didn't work, and I hit it again, and then it uploads. And some people kind of seem to really worry too much about that, but I think that's kind of missing the mark as far as that goes. It's like I made the video, I put in the time. One time I did the work, and then the next morning on my way to work, like had to like make the video and talk about what I did because the night before I fell asleep.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Just in terms of like, if the video doesn't get done, the video doesn't get done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I got to on that one, which is good though, because it was a lesson for sure. It was like I learned that lesson because this is my first attempt at like consistently posting videos. It's like a weird thing that I've realized that video posting on the internet has changed since like the beginning of it. So when I used to post on YouTube and stuff, I was like a high school kid, like posting my skate videos and other random stupid stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like YouTube used to be a little bit more of like you don't see a video every day from the people you follow. You see one maybe once a week kind of thing, and like you take the time and you edit it and you do all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen anymore and people don't take time to edit, but there's definitely a little bit more of like the video blog, like you just kind of like raw putting it out up there so that you have a video to talk about and to post with every day. It's like almost like a TV source now is what I've learned. It's like you get on, you watch all the people you subscribe to, and like that's your TV entertainment for the day.
Yeah, to some degree, especially with those daily ones, man, they just got to kind of be what they are. And I mean, it does have, it's weird. It seems like blog, like that word. I mean, it doesn't sound good anyway, blog. But anyway, it almost seems like that's taken on a little bit of a negative connotation in social media. But that really is what a lot of these are. Now people just call them things like, here's my daily check-in video. They're like avoiding that sort of buzzword, it seems like. But yeah, no, I hear you. That is, you know, I'm still excited to like your man, your idea for tips in a time lapse, once you're back to that, I think is genius. But finding like a format to something where there is like a production value, even if it's like a quick thing where, you know, you have it set up with the system where they all kind of look alike and, you know, but with different art. I think that's great. I still like that idea. I like that idea more actually, but it's just for this type of work and like these type of posts, they just require a different type of editing, which is like zero editing.
Yeah. Well, it's what I realized is like, because it was hard for me to commit to this at first because of that. Like I've only ever made like videos where you like make like a production value is a good way of putting it. You make a nice little title graphic and you play with the way the music hits it, and you know, like there's all this like fine tuning and editing and stuff. But you're daily posting a video, like half the time it's just going to you make the video, you edit the video, you maybe put a little flair of something, and I mean, and then you're like, okay, well now I can't draw today because I spent all my time just editing a video. But it's like I've learned though that it's like you said, and it is weird that word has become kind of an iffy word with some people, but like literally I'm just like, okay, instead my post of my doodles is not much of a thing to look at, but if I film myself in like a daily video post, like showing you guys how I draw and how I get there in my process, that's interesting. And then it becomes like a blog post, like a little, this is what I did with my time today for you guys kind of thing.
Yeah. And honestly, some of the ones I've liked, because I'm doing the 100 Days of Making Comics, and the guy who started it, Kevin Cross, I always like to get in these plugs. If you watch, you probably hear him every time, but I still like to get him in. But it's pertinent because he shows his process and everything, but he also shows his process of being an artist as it relates to just the rest of his life and through ups and downs. And if you watch that, it actually, it's intense isn't the right word, but at some time, I don't know, it gets, he ends up going through like a divorce, like through his 100 days and through his posting and things like that. And, you know, he just sort of starts just letting it all hang out instead of trying to put on a happy face like, hey, everybody, welcome to 100 Days. And I think that's kind of an interesting quality of it, too, that I think people enjoy is just like kind of a fisheye peephole into like people's lives, you know, a little microcosm. And I really do think they find it interesting, not just manufactured stuff, but just if today's a good day and you're happy, or if today's a bad day and you're sad. Like, I try not to be a complainer, but I also try not to mask the struggles too much. Like, if today's a rough day and demons are getting to me, like, well, mention it, because if other people are watching this to relate to me as a human being or me as an artist, you know, everyone kind of deals with those type of things. So might as well sort of show it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just starting to get over it. Like, I got caught up in the last year of, like, you know, you make your Instagram look really nice, and you post in threes, and you make everything beautiful, and it looks really awesome when people find it. But then it's kind of like you're not showing this, your, like you said, your struggle as an artist at all. It almost looks like it's cake for you, and it was not even hard to make the post at all, even though you slaved over it for the whole day or month or whatever, and then you post it one day and then it's done, you know?
It's so funny that you and I keep doing this where we seem to in some ways be envious of what the other person's doing, because I've been looking at your page here recently and really admiring the like nice uniformity of it and the look of it and how that relates to like a Comic-Con booth and a business and all this and everything. And you're like, man, I need to loosen up and show my process a little bit more. I mean, that's a good thing, right? You're always trying to see what you do and what can I do differently. But I think ultimately on your pages, especially as people like hopefully will go through what you have, not just like in the most recent thing, they'll see chunks like that where they see a project in process, and then they see a chunk of, you know, colored drawings, and then a chunk of, you know, ink drawings, and, you know, there'll still be kind of a uniformity to the madness like over time, I guess. But I really like how your page looks, I guess.
Appreciate it, man. But yeah, that's like a real thing too, though. It's just like, I think it was like more of like I'm scared to show my not careful work, because like when I get sloppy, I get real sloppy. I think a little bit of it too is just like an embarrassment kind of thing.
No, I'm right there with you. And I think I got to a point where I'm cool with letting that hang out and then worrying about letting it hang out. And
yeah,
not to derail at all, like kind of the topic that you had in mind with like what projects we're going through and everything. But on the art casters here recently, they've been talking about mentoring. And then on Jake Parker and the SVS Learn podcast, 3-Point Perspective, they were talking about critiques and like how to get critiques. And part of that kind of boiled down to like your posts and everything. And it was like, if you find you're not getting a lot of reaction to your posts and things like that, that in and of itself might kind of be a sign that your stuff isn't comment worthy to a certain degree, kind of a nice way of saying that it's not up to snuff or something. And I don't know, just all of those conversations have just really got me kind of in good and bad ways, kind of like looking inside at all of that stuff and seeing, I don't know, I haven't had a whole lot of participation on mine, and I let it all kind of hang out sometimes. So sometimes I wonder if that just comes across as just amateurish stuff, because I mean, it is. And like, I should have just more polished stuff on there. I don't know. It's part of my struggle going the reverse way, it seems like, a little bit lately, but trying to figure that one out.
Much process.
Do what?
I mean, it's real.
Oh, sorry.
Like you're saying, like too much process stuff. Is that what you're like? We definitely just.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was like a cut out there. What was your question? I didn't realize.
I was just saying, you're saying you feel like you're stuck to showing too much just process things and not enough of the others. Like you like, there's no finished product. It feels like it's all just like following your journey through things.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. You know, even like my part of it is feeling like I'm really needing to sort of be able to take my art into Photoshop and make that finished product, or even just learn coloring by hand. I don't know, just all the little struggles you go through in your head of like, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Which usually is just like a whole lot of like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? But
yeah, it's like, I mean, I definitely noticed, like, which is, we talked about this last week, less likes, or sometimes like a little bit less of the stuff coming through when I shoot process stuff, but then I always notice more engagement, which is like, so it's like more rando people are seeing my stuff and being like, oh, cool. But then they're not sticking around for it. They're just like seeing it and moving on. So I
Yeah.
feel like there's something to be said for that, because I always notice much more actual like comment conversation stuff. Like I like followers who I haven't seen in a while, like leave a comment because I'm posting stuff where I'm like, look at this idea, like A or B, you know, like this, what about this little doodle? And I might take this further. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going to take that. I'm going to make a nice finished piece out of that then. So I have something nice and rounded to believe or whatever. But that's what I'm doing here.
I think there is something to be said for that, you know, in the way that you show your posts sometimes, instead of being like, here's my thing, you know, you say, what do you think of this thing? You know, like you're directly asking a question. Like, actually, for a while, I think I made posts. Was it during Inktober, or I don't know, during one of my things where I was posting a lot in a row? I was always posting a question as the first thing, because it always, when you type too much, which I always do, you know, that goes into something that you have to click on to like read more or whatnot. Excuse me. So I always try to start off with a question, because if somebody at least reads that, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of an obvious reason why someone like wants to answer. You know, if you start off with, what's your favorite color? And then your post is like, been messing around with colors today because trying to figure out my palettes or whatever. People like to answer things with, you know, that's what social media is post your opinion. So I don't know, there is something to be said for that. I think that I haven't done in a while. I've really just kind of gotten in the habit of like, got to make the post. Boom, here's the post. And then like wait to see if somebody like wants to like take time out of their day to go, wow, I really noticed this obscure thing about it. You know, it's like, that's probably asking a lot in today's age. You know, you got to kind of meet people halfway, I suppose, if you want that engagement.
Right. Ace made a couple of good comments in the thing. He said that you're my peanut butter to the jelly. And then he also said that he said, we know your quality, and watching the process makes the product better, which I think is a great way of summing it up. That's an awesome comment.
Cool. I think that's the hope, right? You know?
Yeah.
Because it definitely is a newer thing in our day and age. Previously, with entertainment and art, there was this veil of mystery behind it that I think the artists not only kept up there, and musicians and everybody, but the public kind of enjoyed as well. It kept everything far away and mystical. And if you were a painter or a musician, that was something that, you know, you had to earn the right to do and everything. Well, now you don't have to earn the right to do it, and everyone wants to see like everything into your life potentially about like why and how you do this thing and all of that stuff. It's interesting time that we live in as far as that goes.
It really is. And I super appreciate it, because as an art teacher, there is that, like, that misconceived notion is carried through with my students, where like, or even like just general people, and they don't get, like, you don't know how many times like someone comes up to your room and is like, hey, do you have like a minute? Could you just like make this poster or paint a mural for us? And you're like, what? No. There's like this complete like absence of what it really takes to do this thing that we've learned. Like, oh, this is just a casual thing for you, right? Like, there was a really funny story. It happened before I started working there, but someone came up to Rao and like the day of and was like, hey, can you make a Halloween costume for me? And it was like, it was Halloween. Like, just figured because he was an art teacher, he knew how to make a Halloween costume.
I guess the same thing that makes them feel like they can't participate makes them think that like we have a magic wand that makes it, you know, our sketchbook and pen is, you know, a wand, and we just go boom and it happens, you know. I wish it was like that, but
right.
Well, like I've even tried like a couple times. I need to do it more to get used to it, but you've gotten really good at it. I'm sure part of it is the fact that you're a teacher, and so you're teaching these things and you're drawing in front of people sort of all the time while you're talking, and that's a talent of its own. Because there's been a couple times when it's been really late at night, or I need to get in my thing. I'm like, you know, I don't know what this character is going to look like. Let's just hop on YouTube, do a live stream, and I'll just start from scratch and try to design a character that I have no idea. And it has not gone well, you know, and that's just really kind of, you know, getting on YouTube. I mean, luckily not a whole lot of people are watching all the time, but even so, I don't care that much. But that's equivalent to like standing up in front of everybody and being like, "Hey, everybody, look at me, look at me, look at me," and then going to do a trick and just boom, face planting. Oops.
Right.
But essentially, it doesn't hurt. You know, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, well, that's what came through. And you hope that maybe they have seen some of your other things that do look good. And maybe they're going, wow, how did they make that thing if they suck this bad? But anyway, yeah, I guess if they see your journey, they start seeing that there's ups and downs and no magic wand.
Dang, I was trying to be a good listener, and then you made a good comment that I had something to respond to, and then I totally forgot what I was going to say there. But
I'm sorry, I tend to babble on, which doesn't help.
No, it was like you just made a good point of me being the teacher, like being able to just sit here and draw, and you make like falling flat on your face because you're like trying to show off, I guess, kind of thing.
Well,
right?
Yes.
And I know that's not what it is, but that's like, I think that's the subconscious thing. Is like,
yeah. Well, yeah, it's, hey, everybody look at me, and then being very underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing I've learned as a teacher is like being able, like I'm just doodling, doing my thing, and I'm just talking about it as I go. And this is a thing. This is like a cheesy it's a thing we learned about. Actually, I've known about it, but we kind of learned about it a little more over the summer, like this curriculum thing. But it's called thinking out loud, basically, right? It's like when I'm up here, there being a teacher, what I'm doing is I'm like, okay, guys, so like I'm in Photoshop right now, and as an artist and a dude who knows Photoshop, right now I got my brush set to this, and I got my my eraser set to that, and you know what I mean? Like my brain works like that even when I'm not being a teacher, and when I'm just doodling. So I'm constantly in a zone of like in my own brain, like what am I learning from this? What did making that stroke do, and that kind of thing. So I think when I go live, I forget I'm even live.
Gotcha.
Which isn't the best thing either, but you know what I mean? It's like I get in my artistic processor zone no matter who's watching me, because I'm always, like you said, I'm in and out of, I have an audience, I don't have an audience, I have an audience, I don't have an audience.
Yeah. I think part of my problem too is just kind of inconsistency in how I make things sometimes. So I don't start with I don't know. Don't always have like a process. Like sometimes I just jump in like a excited little kid and start with the eyes, and sometimes I actually do the skeleton and draw the head, and you know. But it's like if I have a character in mind and I know that he has glasses and a hat, half the time I'll just jump in and like start with that and then fill in the rest from there. But which works out sometimes, but not others.
Well, maybe that's like something that speaks well to like knowing your process, because I definitely know mine.
Yeah,
like that's and it's definitely a teacher thing. Like if this is what I do and this is how I do it, and one of my students watches me draw and they ask me, you know, like I need to be able to respond to it.
That makes
so like everything I think about how I got there.
Because you have to like re-explain it to the next folk.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how we got off on this diatribe or where we started or where we've gotten to, but I'm pretty sure it's different.
Different from the plan?
Different from the plan or the check-in, or we've just kind of like, bam, gone out there. So I'm sorry if I took it.
The point of the check-in is to get us talking. So, right?
Yeah, there you go. So you got good progress in. I think that's,
yeah.
I think we got off on the first thing.
How about you?
I got good progress in. I really, with doing this check-in with you, one thing that is really highlighting for me is that I don't have a good concept of how long these things are going to take me. So I keep saying, I hope to have this done by this time and that done by that time, which I'm okay with, because I'm okay with like trying to shoot for a little bit more, and it's not like it's stressing me out too much or burning me out that way, but it's definitely not coming as quickly. And like as relating to like our topic with like balancing our projects and everything, one of the drawbacks to having multiple projects is sometimes it seems like they all crawl when you're at a certain point with all of them. And that's where I am with my projects, is wishing that basically they, that the one that I'm selling, wishing that it was selling better and not sure what to do there. The one that I'm trying to get ready for print, this sort of boring part of editing is taking a lot longer than I thought it should. And then making October is, I was hoping to have at least some sort of thumbnails ready this week. Yeah. And I definitely don't have that. That's not quite ready yet. But on the positive side, consulting the murder board, I did have a couple cool nights with that where I'm getting kind of story beats figured out and what I want from it. I'm figuring out like the type of story that I want to tell. So that was huge. And I have been sticking to my sketchbook and getting little things done here and there. Still working on the Willie Farmer character, and how I'm doing it is kind of drawing. Like this is from a Mississippi John Hurt, and this is from a Louis Armstrong picture, and then working on Blackjack, who's the Crow character. So trying to figure out all that stuff still, because sometimes I miss drawing. I mean, all the time I'd rather be drawing. So even when I'm working on these other different aspects, I'm not quite ready to really be drawing this next comic. But I figure if I can really kind of figure out what my characters look like, then when I'm ready for the story, I can jump in. I don't feel like I have to have all of the scenery down and perfect. I figure I can sort of really like learn that as I go, like the whole learn by doing with those things. And how am I going to make this tree look spooky? Figure that out on the fly a little bit more. But if I can make sure that my characters are like firm in my head so that those stay consistent from beginning to end, I think I'll be okay as far as that goes. And it lets me kind of just draw now and on nights that I've had a lot of where my mind isn't working great because it's late and I'm tired. I can still just kind of look at a picture for reference on the phone and draw some crows to kind of start learning how their anatomy works and everything. So,
yeah, I don't know how that comment like what that really says about it, but I like that on nights where I'm feeling super drained and gross and stuff too, I always end up planning instead of drawing, like, or I doodle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does seem like a thing. Sometimes I feel bad because sometimes on a night where I don't feel super good, I'll write. And I'm not, it feels like I'm saying that writing doesn't take as much, but it does. It's like super draining, but.
Well, it's just, I don't know. And that's the pro, I guess, of having different projects going, is that depending on, because we can't wait for that whole idea that I think we can all agree is a bit of an amateur artist thing, which is okay if that's all you're wanting out of it, which is like, I'm not in the mood, and if you're not in the mood, the muse isn't striking you, then you're just not feeling it. You got to feel it. Well, for what you and I are wanting to do, like, no, you need to sit down and get into it until you feel that groove. And especially for me, where I do want to turn this into a professional thing, of course, not every day you're going to feel it or know where to begin or know where the story is going to go. But the point is to kind of figure out how to get your hands moving so that you get in that familiar zone and can kind of get yourself there. So when you have different projects going, depending on, you can kind of switch around depending on that mood a little bit. If you're really physically drained and you don't feel like drawing, but you can just kind of click from column A to column B and just sort of be formatting pages, cool, you can get that done. If you're really feeling in the zone with drawing, you can of course hit the sketchbook. I don't know, I think you see the point there, but so that's the pro of having multiple projects. But
yeah, I would definitely say that's real. Because what I do, for me, it's like I have my project and then I have my, like, what am I currently drawing? Like I always keep a like a bunch of penciled things that are ready to be inked for when my brain is done, it's spent, like I can't touch that project right now. I'll go ink a thing that I've had in my book forever. I always tell my students that too, is to like have two things going at once. Like have a thing that you're maybe making digitally and then something that you're making like physically or something, like, which is what I usually do. Like I have my digital thing here and then I have doodles and plans and things that I've been making on the side too for the sake of the story.
Makes good sense. It makes good sense for productivity. And like my old high school art teacher, he looked over at kids when they started messing around in art class, And he'd be like, why aren't you working? And inevitably, half the time, the response is like, I'm waiting for it to dry. And he's like, you don't get to sit around in my class waiting for paint to dry. You need to have another project going so that you can kind of jump back and forth. There's no waiting for paint to dry. But
even though that's real.
So I've kind of talked about some of my problems going on. What problems have you kind of sound like you're really in the zone and feeling good? And I guess you talked a little bit about problems just with finding your stride and adapting to it. But anything else going on that front that you're running into?
So problems would be I sat down to write a lot of this a long time ago. And honestly, a lot of it, let's put it this way. I thought I wrote more than I had. And a lot more of it is just up in my head, which for me isn't the best. Like I need to get to like putting some of that down onto some paper or into a document or whatever here. But I've started doing like a thumbnailing. Like I've laid out my pages. It's going to be 24 pages so far, give or take. I think I'm going to try to keep it at that though in terms of signatures. And like, I don't know. I feel like I'm ready to start drawing certain things, but then I like go to sit and look at the thumbnail of it and the flow, like you said, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm actually happy with that flow. Maybe this needs to happen this way. Like you get in this place where when you write it down, it's different from when you're ready to visually draw it.
Yeah. Because I think in our heads we kind of have, at least me for now, because I'm not as proficient as a sequential artist, is I picture the movie in my head, and then when I sit down to draw it, then I kind of adapt the movie to the page. So I think I've got it all ready to go, and then I sit down to draw it, and I'm like, oh, I can't draw that person swing the sword down. So how do I really show what's happening from panel to panel? And then it takes a little bit longer. I don't know if that's anything you're dealing with or not, but that's something where I think I've kind of got it all together. Oh yeah, I can see the scene in my head. We're good. And then it takes a bit longer than I think. But
I mean, that's a good way of putting it. There's a little bit of that, like in your head, you see it moving, like you said, like the movie idea of it. But then on paper, you're like, oh, but I literally, that's probably just 2 panels. That's him like charging up for the swing, and then him after the swing, and what happened in between is in the gutter. And I have to realize that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been part of my catch sometimes. And it's really a fun puzzle to solve.
It really is.
And it's not as simple as just sort of storyboarding like you would for a movie sometimes. But like you said, the blood's in the gutter sort of a thing, and that's really where the story takes place, is because in the gutters, meaning in between your panels, that's where the reader's job kicks in to visualize. So if you see somebody sneaking up behind another character and you see an arm behind them with some motion lines coming up, and then the space in between the gutter, and then the next picture is just completely black, the reader's picturing that thunk to the head, or you know what I mean? Like that's where the story takes place. And so I'm still very new at it and trying to, that's the whole thing right there, is figuring that out.
Right.
But it's what I love about comics, I guess, is figuring out that puzzle of how to basically trying to with a carrot kind of lead somebody's imagination, sort of where you want it to go, but at the same time being okay with whatever that person's bringing to it, I want you to follow me along so you can realize my story, but whatever you want to bring to the table is going to help. I don't know. It's fun.
Well, yeah. Well, it's why comics are so much fun. They're not a movie. Like it's not every single little bit of the story spelled out for you. It you do have to leave a little bit up for the imagination, just like in a book. Even though you're visually telling them like this is exactly what the character looks like, or what that kind of thing. It's like
is a bit of a choose your own adventure, so to speak. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like the beauty of Alfred Hitchcock movies, where it gets you to picture the monster instead of showing the monster. It's whatever horror your imagination is bringing to it, and that's fun.
Yeah, it's like that goes to the show not tell aspect of comics.
Yeah. Trying to figure that stuff out. I am really getting excited about this October story, though, and I'm trying not to get down about not being further, but anyway. One other problem I guess I encountered this week to kind of keep this moving along is I told you one of my goals from last week was to figure out what the haps is with the Bellingham Comic-Con. That's not till late October. Still a couple months away. It's a smaller thing, whether that's good or bad for if I could get a table or not. And when I looked at the website, it didn't look good. So I emailed the contact address and said, hey, it kind of looks like I'm past due, but any chance just to try? And it was like, well, we appreciate you asking. It never hurts. But yeah, we're sold out and you're past due. Sorry. Hope we see you there as a guest. And I was like, absolutely, you know. But that was a little bit of a bummer. But you know, it's my fault for waiting. I guess I guess it's a popular one. It's a small one, but it's popular.
Yeah.
So I should have known. Next year, we'll see if I do it with enough time. If it's something that even like, I don't know how easy it is for a new person to get in. If it's something where like the same local people get in every year and then they try to make room for a few bigger names, which they had some cool people last year. I'm not sure how that'll go. So over the course of the year and this winter, I know between Vancouver and Seattle and here, you know, there's got to be some fun, different things to be able to get there. And one of the main reasons I want to do it is just to get out there and meet some other cartoonists and comic creators and everything. This has proved invaluable, like talking with you and everything and getting to know people a little bit better through the hundreds. And hopefully when I'm through my videos, I can kind of participate a little bit more. But I still really miss just like human contact.
Right.
But yeah, I miss that, especially seeing that post the other day. That was only from 2 years ago too. So that wasn't even, I don't think, our first one. On Facebook, it popped up with and I'd rather be drawing tabling of David and I when we like would split tables when I lived in Kansas City as well. And I was like, wow, 2 years ago, was this our first one? But I was thinking, I've lived here for a year and we did like a couple years worth of stuff then. So
I think that was our first one though, because I think that it was would have been the same year we did our first Planet. And then, because that was the one where we did the live drawing on the stage, because of the placement you showed me was definitely where the stage was behind us.
Was it? Well, we didn't do the live drawing until like our third one.
Really?
Yeah, because we did a Planet Comic-Con. Like I think our very first one was with Stanley, right? And the popcorn.
No, our first Planet was the big guy was the Arrow guy.
Really? I thought the first one was Stanley, and then we did, and it was like Planet, and then we did Kansas City Comic-Con, and it was cheaper, and we're like, wow, this is a lot more fun. Not more fun, but just it was cheaper, so that's cool. I don't know either. Well, that's even cooler that like we're forgetting. I'm missing Comic-Cons.
Done enough to forget it.
Basically, yeah, done enough to forget it, and yeah, I want to get back to it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to have a couple books on the table and then start filling in from there. But so anyway, this year it didn't work out, so that was a bit of a bummer. But you know, all's well that ends well, and I'll just keep plugging away and start researching some other ones that are coming up. So, oh well.
Yeah, I was talking to Patty about that. I feel like I need a calendar of like when should I be looking to buy the table for that event and do that event and that kind of thing. Because like I'm also trying to like expand outward and do more of them and stuff. And like I'm doing one in Wichita here in November, and then like I found like a local event to do here in September. And like it's like as I'm doing these though, I'm seeing like all these other little things pop up where I'm like, oh, there's one right now happening like over and over, like, and I'm like all these ones I don't even know about, but it's like way too late. Like you said, it's like I'm finding out about those way too late.
Yeah, I
wish there was like a website where people, like the local people who do cons, can put in like, I do a con in this time.
There you go, man. Start it up, a Facebook group or something.
I think my battery is dying in my tablet pen because this is like, this is not working right now.
Dang it, that just reminded me of something a second ago that you said. What were you just talking about?
Oh, sorry. Eight, the guy in our comments here, Ace, he's actually the one who got me into the Wichita, or told me about the Wichita one, Air Capital. I'm pretty excited for it. Yeah, this is not working anymore. My battery is definitely done, though. That's all right. We're getting close to the end here anyways. Sorry, did you have a thing you were saying? I got in my my talk to myself rant zone.
No, same thing happened to me that happened to you a second ago. You had said something. I was trying not to interrupt because I get so yucky, and I need to like make notes or something as you're talking because I had to do with Comic-Cons or going to them or something, but I'm not quite sure. Oh well. But anywho, so what was kind of the topic? It was just about like balancing. It's kind of like the topic, balancing our projects and everything. Why don't we just jump ahead to that, man? Like, tell me about where your project is and a little bit about it for people that maybe don't know. If I'm not throwing you on the spot too quickly.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I got to get off in like 5-10 minutes here, so I'll make it quick to give you some time for it too. But basically, I've had this idea, this like story that I've been putting into my brain for a long time with this world of like these robots and these things that I draw. Everyone knows who follows me when I'm not drawing like my fan art and my that kind of stuff. I draw the characters I draw. This is one here. I'm doing a little print work for here after I finish my cover, but this is Apollo. There's this world of like, I guess what I can say the most without giving away too much is like this world, this planet that like junk and things sort of find their way and dumped to the world, and all that junk comes from different other planets. And then like the people who live there sort of build up all their suits and stuff out of all that junk. So that's why each person is going to look like so different in terms of robotic, but still kind of humanoid at the same time. And then I use that though, like that's just like this is the fun little thing I like to draw, but I'm using that literary device as just a fun sci-fi setup for like a couple of different little small short stories of different topics I've wanted to write stories about. And then it's going to lead up into a bigger kind of thing as if it like, if people show interest in my little mini shorts, then I'm going to take them and then they're all going to like lead up to a bigger thing. Because I love that kind of stuff. I love when you're like reading just a bunch of nice, like succinct stories. And then in the end, you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't even realize like that thing happening mattered for this reason later. And it didn't have to, but now that it did, that's awesome.
I love it.
So that's as much as I can say without giving away too much right now. I'm really bad at my wife can attest to this one. If I have a hard time explaining a movie without just telling people what happened in the movie.
I hear you. We should do an episode as you kind of get this a little bit further along and I get the October story a little further along, where maybe we help each other develop our pitch for it, like our kind of our quick elevator pitch, as well as like maybe a longer one to just kind of help out because it's always beneficial.
Yeah, that's a great idea, actually. Just a general, like, maybe the whatever. I'm gonna look at a calendar right now, actually, because why not? So we do these on Sundays. The 2nd of September and then we can I'll be done with my month of doing all my stuff, and I'll have a lot of stuff to show for it. We can like have like a fun where are we at so far with it kind of stuff.
Deal. I'll be in the last sort of home stretch of my 100 days there, so that should work. So for me, real quick to sum up, is that where we're at?
Yeah.
All right. So a couple things. Speaking of 100 days of making comics, I'm on day 48, and this is my video for today. So I'll be posting this in the 100s. What's up, everybody there? And yeah, my fancy header for 100 days of making comics. So just real quick, as I mentioned before, my 100 days is kind of a 3-pronged attack of 3 different comics or 3 different projects. One is this finished one called Isabel Crane, Dying or Sleep, which is an illustrated song line for line that I did for a jazz band called Dying or Sleep. Kind of a fun yet morbid tale about death and all that good stuff. So that's for sale on my Etsy, which is Mr. Green Draws as well. If you're over on my Instagram, you can just click the link in bio, and that'll take you right there. Or if you search Isabel Crane on Etsy. You can find it that way as well. The second thing I'm kind of trying to get wrapped up is my Mr. Green's Monster Zine that you see right here. It's going to be just that, a zine, a simple thing where kind of an idea of like a sketchbook that I'm going to print, but with a theme. So for each of these characters, I wrote a short story independent of each other, just about them, almost just kind of a story jumping off point based on these characters. And I'm going to print a zine out of them. So finishing up production on that one right now. I'll let you know when that's finished up. And the last thing that I'm working on right now is October. OKTOBR is his name. And he's this little pumpkin-headed Halloween monster. If you can see him there. But yeah, so I'm working on that story right now. Probably not going to be quite ready for print by Halloween, but I do hope to have the story moving along quite nicely. And this is something where I'd really kind of like to invest in this overall and have, you know, some product and paraphernalia and different merchandise as the story comes out and surrounds it and everything, little trick-or-treat bags and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So if you want to keep an eye on that, like I said, check me out at my Instagram at Mr. Green Draws. So that's everything I got.
Awesome. That was a pretty good wrap up, just in like kind of round off. Also, guys, all the things we're saying to find us in, I put them all in the description at the bottom as well. So our Instagrams and Facebooks and other things like that are all down at the bottom, and we'll kind of mess with that and update that as we go. So it's easier to find those things. Because I know when I listen to podcasts, I always hear people be like, "You can find me at," and I'm like, "Wait, what did he say?" And then I have to go back for it. So that's all there. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good talk. I don't really know if it ended up on this topic we were hoping for, but we got some good stuff out this time.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it and shared our progress. So, blah.
So just, I guess, thanks a lot for anybody who watched us live. Thanks for anybody who will watch us afterwards. And we just appreciate all the support on our channel just in general, because we love doing this regardless of what happens with it. This is like one of those things that we've been trying to just do every week anyways, and now we have our inspiration of why we want it to get done. So
for sure, if you enjoy it, likes, comments, subscribe, shares, all that stuff really helps out and gives us some motivation to move forward. So do appreciate you guys.
Awesome. All right, check us out next Sunday, same time, same place. Peace, guys.